My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Gang, welcome back. Today our special guest is zooming in from just down the Rockies from me in beautiful Colorado. We've got Mike Deaton, and Mike and his lovely wife Leah have been flipping dirt for 10 years. So that's what we're going to be talking about here. What the heck is land flipping? What's so great about it? Why is this better than regular flipping? And why have you been doing it for so long? So Mike, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks, Dave. I'm happy to be here.
So give us your definition of what flipping dirt really means.
Man, at its simplest, it's pure flipping. It's buying low and selling
Less
at
low.
market value. Not necessarily high, but at market value. So we, maybe one layer deeper, our business model is reaching out off market directly to property owners, making them an under market value offer and taking the ones that accept and that work out for us. And then we just purely flip it. No value add, no entitlements or subdivisions. It's just reselling it at its market value or near it, and making a profit. And so
buying wholesale, selling kind of retail.
We do some, at a kind of a basic level.
Yeah.
That's how there is a wholesale market in the land business, similar to homes and all that other stuff.
Well, I wasn't even meaning wholesale.
But non-retail. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. It gets confusing when we throw those terms.
It can.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's unwrap this. So you do this en masse. You're making offers to tons of people, sight unseen, and kind of seeing who nibbles. Is that kind of how that works?
Yeah. At a high level, that's it.
So do you guys focus on specific areas, states, counties? What does that kind of look like? Do you have a specialty in that regard?
That's the start of the process, and that can be where some hesitation comes in. So at the onset, we definitely focus on certain markets, but not as a deep dive. I mean, when we started, we went out to half a dozen counties, and then maybe every 3 months we try one or two more. When we find one where we get a decent amount of uptake and the math works on the deals in a way that suits our resources, we'll deep dive and we'll stay there and we'll just hang out. And we'll mail through the entire list of property owners. We'll remail every 6 months or so and just stay there until conditions change. And so that's why we've also got a feeler out into other different markets. And so we end up gravitating towards 3 or 4 markets heavily and then just testing ever so often as we go.
Okay, very, very cool. So having the right software, accessing the right lists, getting the right data is a huge part of this business for you guys. Can you give us just big, broad strokes, kind of what that side of your business looks like?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, tech is changing the game in every industry. Land is not different. There's a lot of niche players that are spinning up land-specific service offerings where you can get a lot of this stuff. At its root, the county owns all the data. In the US, the counties are the recorders and the tax entities.
That's why they own all the data
for land.
Yeah.
And so all
They
these
gotta send those
services plug
tax
into
bills
the
up.
county.
Yeah.
And you can many counties are very friendly these days, like they have ways for you to download lists. But then there's list service providers where you can very consistently and repeatedly use criteria. If you're only looking for land of a certain zoning type or a certain price range, or there's all different types of criterias. And so, we subscribe to a service. We try out different services now and again, but essentially we're pulling county records down. We are usually massaging that data in some way to find, like there'll be duplicate owners and we won't mail if you own 10 properties, we won't mail you 10 different times. We'll just send you one and stuff. There's different ways that we massage the data, but we are fairly regularly, pulling down information, massaging it such that it suits our needs, and then using that to send our campaigns out.
So in the flipping houses world, there's kind of some pretty standard formulas that people use to determine offering price.
Mhm.
What does that look like for flipping land for you guys,
Yeah,
typically?
it's similar but simpler. And
Yeah.
so if we go into a county and maybe there's a lot of rural properties, we just take the comps. So we look at it in two phases, quite honestly. So when we go into a market, we might blast a large radius and we'll just roughly calculate the comps. We won't go into, as you might expect with houses, it's neighborhood dependent. There are some more expensive neighborhoods relative to others. It's the same with land. You
Yeah.
have pockets of land that's valued higher because it's closer to an urban center, or maybe it has utilities or whatever. We might do a little bit of that up front, but we learned really the campaigns that we send out, it's really just getting the responses. And so, if anything, we'll try to err a little bit on the low side because it's a harder conversation when you've approached somebody. In our business model, we make
Yeah.
you an offer. So, if you own property, we'll say, hey, we're willing to offer you 10,000 contingent on our final due diligence. It's just a
Right.
harder conversation if we say, hey, I know we offered you 10. We took a look at
What
your
do you think,
property.
too?
Now we think, yeah, people are
Yeah.
already anchored at a certain level, but we'll
Yeah.
go in with a rough estimate. And then when people come back, we'll have exactly that conversation. We'll just say, great, we'll take a deeper look at your property. We'll go through and look at your taxes and how beautiful your property is or if it has road access or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we'll follow up with more details like, hey, love your property. We'll stick to our offer, or maybe we need to negotiate or different things there. So
Yeah.
um, it's it,
So are the comps kind of pulled based on price per square foot? Like how do you pull those comps, or do you calculate it based on assessed value with the
You
county
can do
itself?
both.
Yeah.
Each county does different assessment levels, and so I find those are less reliable. We'll
Yeah.
usually take the time to pull 30 similar properties, comps, where we can get a feel, and we're typically doing bigger acreage on our deals, and so we're doing a price per acre.
Got
But
it.
when you're doing like residential lots or infill lots or something like that, it can be on a price per square foot and get a little bit more accurate. But it's a price per something typically.
Mhm.
And then we will, in tiers, go out and make our offers. And so let's just say we've done a comp on a 5 acre property. If it's 4 to 6 acres, we'll probably just blanket make those offers the same instead of
Mhm.
getting down into the, decimal points of the offering. So it's kind of it's a rough estimate at a point. And,
Right.
in our business, we're making triple digit margins typically on our deals. And so there's a lot of room for fluctuation in the negotiation.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, Mike. So this is not only very data dependent, like you got to be finding these lists and you got to be coming up with a certain volume of properties that you're reaching out to. It's also dependent on sending out direct mail. I'm assuming that's how you're reaching out to most of these owners. Is that correct? Or are you guys doing a different kind of outreach?
So we still predominantly use direct mail. It's been the most cost effective and response effective.
Mhm.
We have, over the last 6 months, I would say, we've used a few different platforms that use text messaging, cold calling, different AI technologies. They're getting better, but um, our preference is making you that offer so that when people respond to us, they're a warm lead. Like they
Yeah,
know what they're getting into. The other
exactly.
services so far are really cold approaches and they'll transfer a lead over, but that lead could be anything. And we get a lot of them in that domain where they want market value or they want double market value or whatever.
Yeah,
And
so
so
you're wasting a lot of time with
it's a
people
lot
that
of
are,
time waste for us. Some people like that. They like getting those leads and having those conversations and working the negotiations. For us, it hasn't really borne enough fruit to be worth it. I mean, our business model is really simple. We like to do other things with our time than
Mhm.
talking to leads that really aren't interested.
Yeah, not even tire kickers, exactly. So I know you guys have been in this for a decade now. You've got a machine up and running, and I know you're starting to teach and coach people about this as well.
Mhm.
So when somebody's kind of getting involved in the business at the beginning, realistically, how how many leads should they be going after, let's say on a monthly basis, or how does that work as far as like the outbound marketing goes for sending out mail and stuff like that? Just big broad
Yeah,
stroke.
it's a great question. And so we start off our own business when we started, but then when we work with people, we sit down and we have a conversation about their budget, their time, their goals, because you can buy land for 500 bucks. You can find parcels and buy them for 500 bucks. You're just going to make a smaller profit margin on that. It's going to take a little bit longer to scale your business versus somebody that has 20,000 or 50,000 or access to other things. And so,
Yeah.
um,
I guess
those,
it's more for the marketing budget that I'm curious about, being a kind of a marketing
right,
expert.
but backing in, that then becomes how much you're going to spend in your marketing. And so it can be flexible. A
Yeah.
good starting point is probably 500 to $1,000 a month. Like we like clients to send because it is a numbers game and we're
Yeah.
looking at percentages. And so when we started the business, for instance, we could pretty reliably get maybe a 3% response rate on our mailers. And so we didn't have to send out too many. It's thinned down over time for a few different reasons.
It's more
Um,
competition than 10 years ago now.
Competition being
Yeah.
one, yes. But it's different market to market. And so you really kind of have to get in, get a feel for it, and go. But if anybody's familiar with statistics, right, you want to get up over 100. And in this business, you really probably want to get over 500 so that you get a reliable sample response rate back.
Yeah.
And so, 500 mailers a month, you're probably talking $300 in overhead costs and getting things out. And you're going to get a few deals out of that, most likely. The issue is, this is a business, and where I see a lot of people go wrong is they don't run it like a business, right? Because you have expenses, you need your margin to be enough. And so if you're buying $500 properties, by the time you factor in mailing costs and some other things, you're really not making a whole lot. And so you need to step up into some larger deals
Yeah.
to be able to really make the math work and be successful. And you can get there. It's not impossible. It's just a harder road sometimes.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Mike. So the other side of the coin is once you do get a deal and you've purchased it, then you're turning around and selling that. So
Mhm.
what do you guys do and what do you recommend for selling these properties at close to retail price?
Yeah, so we sell in one of two ways. We sell on a cash basis. A lot of what we do, 90% maybe, we own or finance. And so it really opens the market when
Yeah.
you self-finance deals and you can offer somebody $350 or $500 or even $1,000 monthly payment, depending on the property. And so we love the free sites. We love Facebook. We love Zillow is a great one. If people have access to the MLS, it opens a lot of doors. Then there are paid sites, land.com, landwatch. There's some other services where you can pay to put ads on. Honestly, we don't find a lot of success there, and we see a lot of people spend a lot of money,
Hmm.
until you scale. Once you've scaled, those become great outlets because you can publish a lot of ads and there are a lot of eyeballs and really warm leads. But we like the free sites still
Especially if you're doing
today.
owner financing, that just makes a ton of sense, right? Yeah.
It does, yeah, and it shakes out. And in some markets, we partner with realtors, though. We'll offload the whole marketing and sales process, and we'll pay the commission. And I'm happy to because they have done the heavy lifting. They maybe a lot of times have already buyers lists of people that are interested. And that's really the second part of our business model is anytime we're out there marketing properties, we're trying to get email like in any business. That's a key valuable piece of information is somebody that's interested in land. And we have a VIP list of a few thousand people now. So we'll give a first look, we'll give some discounts, we'll educate that list. And so
Yeah.
we have that as a resource built up over the years.
No, that makes a lot of sense. As we're wrapping this up here, Mike, the other question people might have is, well, why would people sell to you so cheap so that you can turn around? Why don't they just sell it themselves?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. There are pools of people. So first of all, there are some people that are just realtor averse. They don't like the real estate game and getting into a realtor situation. So we meet a few of those people. But really, it's life situations. People bought a property years ago. They had a dream. That dream has passed. Now they're just paying taxes on it. Some people get behind on their taxes. We're doing a deal right now. We're in the closing process where a mom passed away. The daughter inherited it. There's back taxes on the property. The state or the county's just going to take it in a few months. And so we're like, hey, we'll pay your taxes. We'll give you some cash. And we're getting into the property for like a tenth of the market value in that way. But there's just situations like that. People come in, they need cash. They get tired of paying taxes. There's deaths or illnesses. Some people, we problem solve a lot of our deals. Like people don't know how to sell their property because they've gotten into an inheritance situation or a spouse passing away. And so we'll help them out and do the lifting for them in return for a discount. But there's just a few situations like that. And it's usually money driven.
Yeah.
We give them money quickly. We close quickly. It takes us a few days. Like we'll do a few days of due diligence. The closing process is very easy. When we get into a title company situation, that lengthens the time a bit. But again, it's cash money for your property.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Awesome, Mike. Well, I think you've got some resources for people if they're interested in finding out more about flipping dirt. Where should they go?
Yeah, so we have some PDFs. You can book a call with me. I love to talk to people that are interested. There's a calendar link, but if people go to our website, it's flippingdirt.us. And if you go to flippingdirt.us/freedom, it's kind of a resource page. There's a few PDFs. You can join our newsletter. You can find other links to our programs and find out just more about land in general. So that's probably the best entry point for anybody that wants to get in touch with me.
All right. What's that URL one more time?
flippingdirt.us/freedom.
Perfect. Mike, thanks very much for being on the show. It's been great.
Dave, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, everybody. See you on the next one. Hey there. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewsyou.com.